No, I fucking hate him. I hope he gets hit by a fucking bus and I hope he fucking dies.
Jingle bell.
Happy Vlogmas, everyone.
Happy Vlogmas, everyone.
This is Steph. If you don't remember Steph, this is her.
Her one and only friend.
I have more friends. Not really, I don't. I mentioned that we would be telling another story, but that Steph wanted to partake in this particular storytelling of this particular, it's not a singular event.
Chapter.
This chapter of my past. I was actually telling Alex that we were filming. I was like, Steph's gonna love it. She's gonna cheer right up when she gets to talk about how much she hated my ex. And he's like, what? Because he thought I was talking about someone else. He didn't realize that this person that we're talking about today is my ex from when I was 15 to 16 years old. So, over 10 years ago. This is an old story, but...
And I still hate him.
She still hates him. She hates him more than I do. I'm like indifferent now. I mean... Yeah, no, I'm indifferent. I feel like I'm indifferent. I can see her face in the camera and she's just like...
That's because I didn't have any of the like love and the nice relationship. I just saw the like, all of the bad stuff and like the manipulation and the like assholeness, like grooming that he was doing.
So I'm going to start telling the story. I will tell the story of how we met and the drama around how we met.
I can't even remember how you met him.
I will tell you now. So, the school that I changed to had two campuses. One was year 7 to 10 and one was year 11 to 12. I changed and went to this school in year 10. So obviously I didn't know the year 11s and 12s because they were at a different campus. Anyway, occasionally they'd bring everyone all together for like a big school mass or something like that. And this guy, let's call him
Brian.
Let's call him Brian. Brian was talking to my friends at recess or lunchtime or something, and me and one of my really good friends at the time, we kind of ran up to the group and we're like, oh, this conversation's boring, and then we like ran away and just went and did our own thing. Anyway, I ended up getting a message from Brian later that night, and I was like, who's this? What's going on? And it's like, oh, what's your MSN? Blah, 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 wants to talk to me. So he got my phone number off one of the girls in that group.
If anyone doesn't know what MSN is, just in case there's like a few like youngins around, it was like
Instant
Facebook
chat.
No, it was like Messenger. It was like Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, pretty much.
But like
only messages.
You could only get it through your email. It was through like Hotmail, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Hotmail.
Yeah.
Nowadays. Yeah, so it was way back in that day, and that's how like we all kind of spoke and stuff outside of school, because like not everyone even had phones and stuff then anyway at that point. So.
People might not know what it is. Like,
this is true.
Like,
so we're going to get into MySpace terms, so I don't even know what that is. So anyway, this girl ended up being really, really mad at me about the fact that he wanted my number from her because she had a big crush on him, but I didn't know this because I didn't know this guy because he was obviously at a different campus. They knew each other from the year before all the year 11s went to the other campus. So there's a big drama around that. Eventually that settled down. But anyway, so I was talking to this guy on MSN and he's like, oh, you're going to be at so-and-so's party tomorrow night. And I was like, oh no, I'm not invited. And it's like, oh, well, I only said yes because I thought you were going. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not. And I ended up asking like one of our mutual friends of the girl who was having the party if I could go, and she's like, oh yeah, that's fine, you can come. So I ended up going late after work, and when I got there, this guy was missing, completely missing. And he came out later at the end of the night, very briefly. I didn't even really get to see him.
Oh my God, I remember this party because your mum conned me into coming and waiting in the car with her to pick you fucking up. And we just sat in the car and waited.
This is when Steph, was that when you lived with me?
And listened to talkback radio on the bloody radio. And I was just like,
Yeah, so we found out that this guy, Brian, was in this room with, I don't know, some chick. He swears nothing was happening, but the soiled bed sheets tell a different story of the girl whose party it was, because she was not happy about him hooking up with someone in her bedroom. So, still don't know why I gave him a chance after that, but at the end of the day, like, you know, we'd just been talking. It's like, oh, I was just hoping to see you at the party. I know
exactly why, because you were 15 and dumb.
Yeah, well. Also, you know, like, I didn't know that he liked me at that point. Like, I just thought, you know, I was very naive. I came from a very sheltered upbringing at my previous school. I had guys ask me out at this new school all the time, and they'd be like, oh, do you want to go out with me? I'm like, yeah, like as friends, yeah? Like, go get lunch or something, like as friends? And they're like, that's all I remember about how we met. I don't really remember how we ended up actually going on a real date after that, or what our first date even.
I think he started hanging out. Okay, this is my recollection of it.
This is why she's here to tell the story.
After the party, they started hanging out, and they'd go to, there was like a McDonald's that used to be up from where Amea lives, and they used to all get the same tram together. And he would come with Amea and her group of friends, and they would meet at this McDonald's.
No, we'd walk there, and then the other campus would tram there. Yeah. And
then they'd like meet up there. I actually went there a couple of times. I met him. When I first met him, I was like, oh yeah, he's alright, whatever. It's just a guy. He's whatever. And then, as it progressed, I started to see weird manipulations, and I decided I despised him. And from that moment on,
she was not a fan. So basically, we started going out, and he got me this bracelet, I think, and we were going on like Puffing Billy.
Oh yeah.
And he'd asked my mum if I like gold or silver, so he knew like what kind of bracelet to get me. And I'm pretty sure it was silver, because I liked silver at that time. Remember. Anyway, he gave me this bracelet. I know, Hadley, it was very dramatic. He gave me this bracelet on Puffing Billy on our little journey thing. We got a photo together. We looked like a lesbian couple. It was great. Yeah, we started going out. Things were going well, but I started receiving really weird messages from random girls. And they'd be like trying to warn me, like, oh, do you realize how many girls he's slept with? Do you realize that he's cheated on girls in the past? Do you realize that one would be like an ex-girlfriend. You realize he cheated on me, right? I just started getting messages like this, and anytime I'd ask him about it, he's like, well, yeah, I'm not friends with these people. We had a falling out, so obviously they're not going to say anything nice about me. They're just trying to bring me down. And, you know, I was very young, very naive, and he had that persona that was just very...
he was manipulative as fuck.
Very manipulative, but, like, not everyone picks up on it. Like, he comes across quite charming to a lot of people.
Super narcissistic, and he was really, like, fake. He was one of those people... You know who I'm talking about. Those people like, oh babe, I love you, you're amazing. And then they like bag the shit out of everyone behind their back. Or they're like, oh sis, oh bro. And then they just assholes. And you're like, why are you like this? That's what he was like. Everyone's friend out in public. You know, the fun time guy, the party guy, but was like an absolute piece of shit behind closed doors.
I really liked his family. I spent a lot of time at his house. His parents were really nice to me. His grandma was really nice. His brother was an asshole, but not just to me, to everyone. Like, I enjoyed hanging out with their family, and I went away with their family sometimes as well. I kept noticing more and more people messaging me. I'd have, on occasion, people even try and say something to me out in public, because the thing with this particular person, Brian, was that he was MySpace famous before we met. So
in
he
his
was,
own mind.
No,
he wasn't fucking famous.
No,
Jeffree Star was
okay, so not Jeffree Star, not that extreme, but like for Melbourne, he was quite well known in like the scene boy world.
Well, I was on MySpace and I didn't know who he was, so and I was goth. So
he used to just always hang out at Flinders Street Station, so he'd know all the girls that would just hang out there. You know how all the scene kids used to just hang out there and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. He was just like that. So yeah, I'd have people recognize me out in public, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're dating Brian, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, all right," and just kind of be really weird about it. And then I remember once I was with him at the shops, and we see this girl, and she's in a year level below me at the school, and he looks at her and he just yells out, "Slut!" And she's just like, "What? What's going on?" Anyway, I ended up finding out much later on that he used to crack onto her all the time, and she called him a disgusting pedophile for this, which is why
she ain't wrong.
which is why she hated him so much.
Because the truth hurts.
Exactly. So like he made it out like
just to clarify, I myself would say he was borderline pedophile, but like this is just conjecture. Nothing, you know.
I was 15, he was 17, but he was also hitting on girls younger than me. But I feel like it's more so because the young girls are easier to manipulate.
What did they say in the drama videos? Allegedly.
Allegedly. But we did say his name as well, so
true.
Like.
If he ever sees this, he'll know who he is.
So we started getting on this kind of like rocky relationship because I just started not trusting him. I went through his phone, and back then, prior to iPhones, the way messages displayed were different. They didn't come up in like one full conversation that you can just scroll through. They're individual messages received in the order. So it'll be like maybe one message from Steph, one message from Alex, one message from this, another one from Steph. They'll come through in that kind of order, and they'll just be the single message. And then you have to go to your outbox and read the other ones. Kind of like emails, but there's no chain. So you have to go back and forth to look at it like that. So
I forgot about that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh.
So I ended up going through his phone and just seeing some messages that nothing was like, I enjoyed having sex with you last night. It was nothing like that, but it was just like, oh, I can't wait to see you. Oh, don't forget to bring your trackies over when you come. I'll meet you at the station at this time. Those kind of messages, but meeting up with people who he hadn't told me about, if that makes sense. Like he'd tell me when he was hanging out with his friends, but these girls in his phone he wouldn't tell me about when he was meeting up with them. Another time I actually found a pair of earrings in his bedroom, and obviously he'd had other girlfriends in the past. That's fine, you know, maybe they were there from one of them. No, they weren't, because there was this little shelf about this big that he put in while I was at his house, a brand new shelf next to his bed. It was a new shelf, and he tried convincing me that it was just some from before, and I'm like, I'm not a dickhead. Like, this shelf was, I pre-exist this shelf, okay? Then he tried to tell me that it was, you know, his brother's girlfriend's earring, and it must have just come off.
Well, in his room, because that's legitimate. Was he like fucking her as well?
Probably.
That's why I hated him. That's why I hated him. It wasn't because he was like a shit guy. It's because his brother's a piece of shit, and he's like fucking.
Oh my goodness. So we're just having this rocky relationship. We started fighting a lot just because I just didn't feel that I could trust him. And I remember I left my phone at his house one day, or one night, and my mum picked me up, and then we ended up turning around and going back to pick up my phone when I realized that I'd left it behind. I wanted to go get it back so that I could message my boyfriend. Surprise. That's not weird at all. Anyway, he made such a big deal about the fact that I had to come back to get my phone. He's like, what, don't you trust me with your phone?
I remember that because you came home and you were like crying. You like bawl your eyes out. Like you were really upset.
I was so upset because I was like, I just wanted, like, you know how it is. You want to be able to talk to your man.
It's a fucking phone. Like, you would
friends.
be like, no, you can't have your phone back.
It was like, why couldn't you just pick it up in the morning? Maybe he was expecting a girl to come over. I don't know.
Okay, now everyone watching this is going to be like, live a life without my phone for 2 minutes. Like.
Yeah. Back in the day, we weren't as attached to our phones as what we are now. because there weren't apps on it other than Snake.
Yeah.
Over this time, these are the things that I noticed. I noticed the trust issues, but Steph is the one who noticed the other issues, which I didn't at the time until afterwards.
When they first started going out, like I said before, I was like, oh yeah, he's alright, whatever. Obviously you guys have noticed that I've been in film, like, you know, I've been in filming videos before, I've been in things, blah, blah, blah. Backstory is our parents are pretty much best friends. They've been best friends for like over 30 years. So I've known Amea since she was born. She's literally a month difference between my brother. So she's pretty much my sister. Like, I consider her my little sister. So, and I was also living with them at the time because they just moved to Melbourne from finishing high school. So
she lived in the country.
Yeah, I lived in the middle of nowhere. So I moved in with them. So when they started dating, I was kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. He seems all right. She'd only ever had one boyfriend before that, and there was like a primary school romance, and then he dumped her via text message, and it was very dramatic. She's obviously older. I was like, oh, if Amea likes him, you know, he must be all right. But then, as our encounters grew, you know, more frequent, I started noticing little things that he would do. Like, kind of put her down. He'd be like, are you gonna wear that? Do you really think you should wear that? He like pretty much conned her into like changing her hairstyle. Would always pick at her makeup, make little snide comments about like, you know, what she was wearing, if she was hanging out with people, like even music tastes, like weird little like, oh, you should listen to this is so much better. And then he did this thing that was like, I fucking hate it, and this is like what made me hate him so fucking much. Like, this is like, he had a catchphrase, and he will, if he sees this, he's gonna know damn well who we're talking about.
He's gonna already know.
His fucking catchphrase was, stay classy, baby.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Every time she would, like, I don't know, eat something, or like wear a shirt that was like, you know,
I've got big boobs, so I just wear a tank top and it looks like
a t-shirt with a V. He'd be like, oh, stay classy, baby. Stay classy, baby. And I remember one Easter, like, Amea wasn't 18, she was 17 then, but we were in our own house.
16.
Oh, you were 16. Well, she was 16, it was Easter. Down, baby.
Oh, the babies.
I gotta wet my mouth for this rant. So anyway, she was 16, but we're in our own home, and it was Easter, and we had a Easter lunch with our mums, and I think my brother was there, and I think my dad was visiting my older brother and his kids. Anyway, we had a Easter lunch, so we had a little bit of champagne. It was like that, you know, sweet sparkling, it wasn't even champagne.
That's some cruises.
It was good.
That's some cruises.
Oh yeah, and we had like a cruiser each. It wasn't a lot. Anyway, because she's a lightweight and obviously didn't drink because she was like, you know, 16. Probably like 2 cruises in, she wasn't feeling well, so she did a strategical bomb.
Tactical spew in the bathroom sink.
And anyway, this, you know, absolute gem came over after the lunch to visit, and he like flipped his fucking shit because she had like a cruiser. Literally, I don't even think you had a whole cruiser. I feel like you had like one blue cruiser and like a bit of the wine. Like, you didn't have much at all.
I didn't have a lot.
Like,
no.
And this is before this is before we knew she had like every bloody food intolerance known to man. So like, God knows what it could have been. We had like cheese, we had everything that day. It was Easter, you know. Indulge.
Yeah, because I had a tactical spew and then I felt better. Whereas if I drink too much, if I spew, like, I'm done. So I think it was probably just.
But he was like, so he came over and he was like, oh, I don't know what, you had like blue around your mouth from the cruiser, and he's like, oh, have you been drinking? And she's like, yeah, I had a cruiser. And then she's like, I wasn't feeling well, I vomited a little bit. And he's like, oh my god, that's so disgusting. And he's like, stay classy, baby, stay classy. And he had this whole thing where like, if they went to a party or something, he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. He could drink, he could fuck off. But if she did anything, he'd be like, oh. Like, you know, she's embarrassing the crap out of him. And this was like our family Easter, like, and he was just coming over to visit afterwards, and it was at my house, so he's lucky that I actually let him in because I just moved into my own house. And he was just like, he sat there and he was so salty, and he's sitting on the edge of the like couch like with a cat ass mouth, and he was just like all pissy. And at this point, we went to a dance concert. All he did was like crack onto like girls while Amea's out backstage doing her dance stuff. Like I was there and I was like hating every moment of looking at him. But also our mutual friend Ollie, which is pretty much Amea's best friend as well, was there, and we did not like him. We had our own despised club. I remember saying to him that...
I remember he showered for that too, and he wouldn't even shower for me. No, actually he showered, but he washed his hair. He washed his hair to come to that.
Yeah, because he was busy like chatting up all the little girls, and I just hated
Not even
like...
the older girls.
It was like the young ones, which was creepy.
Yes.
And then he tried to chat up our other friend, and our other friend was like freaked out by it, like creeped out by it, and she was like, but she didn't say anything until later.
Because she thought he was joking.
Yeah, she was like, And then I remember like he was, at this stage I didn't like him, and the dislike for him, like he knew I didn't like him, you could feel the vibe, like I can't hide my facial expressions. And we were unloading the car, and her mum was there, and I think Ollie was there, and he said something joking around, and I was like, it just like pissed me off, because I was already pissed off at him, because Amea was like, don't be stupid in the audience, don't scream and stuff, I've got to concentrate. And every time she comes on stage, she's like screaming, and I was just like, what did she literally tell you? Like, respect what she's saying. So that already pissed me off. And then he's chatting up all the little girls, and so that pissed me off. And then he said something, I can't even remember what it was, but I was just like right at the edge. And I turned around to him and I go, I was here first and I'll be here long before you're gone. And he just looked at me and he was like, ha ha ha. And then her mum looked at me and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm being serious. Like, and I was correct. Like, it escalated. She got more drawn into the relationship. And then he just kept doing like asshole things, like cancelling like dates, just saying like mean things to like set her off, and then she'd get really upset, and then he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry baby, I'm sorry, and like console her, and they'd have like these massive talks. At this stage her mum started to not like him as well, and yeah, it escalated. And then they got the cat.
Yeah, my mum and I got a new cat. We got little Brandy. Mum and I brought over Brandy to Steph's house and to meet the cat, and I think your mum was there as well.
Yeah, mum was there.
Your mum was there as well, and we brought Brian with us, and I think the adults were outside fagging it up, and Steph was outside with them because she fucking hated Brian so much she didn't want to sit with him. And
they were sitting in my spare room with the cat.
We're sitting in the spare bedroom with the cat, just playing with her, and the window was open and we could hear everyone talking outside, and this is what we heard.
Her mum said something about Brian, and I was like, I hate him. And then she said, you can't say that. And then I was like, I fucking hate him. And she's like, you can't say that because he'll push her away from you. And I'm like, I don't fucking care, I hate him. And she's like, yeah, but then it'll get between you two, and it'll, push her away from you, and you can't say anything, you've just got to let it ride out. And I said, no, I fucking hate him. I hope he gets hit by a fucking bus, and I hope he fucking dies. And this is what they heard through the window. And I'm a very passionate person. For anyone that knows me that's watching this, you can imagine that it's about 10 decibels higher than that, with a lot more rage. And because
we literally heard the whole thing, and we were just sitting there awkwardly staring at each other.
And then because after I had my little outburst of like pure unadulterated hate, and like all of the neighbors heard, I didn't realize the fucking window was open in the spare room. And because I'm not someone that like can sometimes control, when I get the anger, I didn't realize it was like super loud, because probably deafened myself over the years anyway. But anyway, so I came in and I'm like, hi guys, do you want a drink? How are you going in here? And they're just like and the fear in his eyes.
Really?
Like, it was like the most awkward. They're just like, and the funny thing is, if Amea gets shitty at me, you fucking know about it. Like I will know about it. And we had stupid fights, like many a fights living together about dumb things. But she never said a word to me. Like, I literally was out there screaming that I hated her boyfriend that she was like totally in love with. and I hope he died, and she did not say a word to me. No falling out, nothing. Like, it's like she knew.
I knew. That's why that was obviously closer to the end of the relationship where I'd started to
find out he was a cheating piece of crap.
Piece together bits of the story that weren't making sense. I think he had left his Facebook logged in. No, MySpace. He'd left his MySpace logged in.
Facebook wasn't around then.
No, it was right at the end because I saw stuff on Facebook too. All the private messages were all from girls. They were all just like super extremely flirty messages. Both ends. Everything was always instigated by him and then continued on by the girls, but instigated by him initially.
And at this stage, this guy's like 18.
He wasn't 18 yet.
He turned 18 while you were still dating.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, but he didn't have his license yet.
Yeah, he turned 18.
Yeah.
And at this stage, that's why we've got the allegedly, because he was 18 at this stage. She was like not
just 16.
Yeah, just 16. So like technically that's like borderline, but he was like talking to people younger, like allegedly. We don't know. We're not going to start, you know.
They literally were younger.
But we don't know if anything else happened. Like, but still, that's fucking creepy. And I'm sorry, I should have done a disclaimer at the start. There's a lot of swears in this because the passion for this hatred is really strong.
Oh, you don't need a disclaimer on my channel.
It's like 10 years old, but like the strength, like if I saw him in person, I don't even know what I'd do. Probably feels like an overreaction to people, but like you have no idea how like manipulative and like the things he used to do. And he was literally, he was so narcissistic. It was all about him. And he would literally do things to manipulate people around him on purpose to get like, sometimes he would, I reckon he started fights so that you would, you know, get upset and not talk to him so that he could go off, cheat or do whatever.
I know, Hadley, it's disgusting, isn't it?
I'm studying psychology.
Hadley!
He has a lot of traits of a narcissistic predator. And this story time is going to be like really full on, but like you guys have no idea. Like,
the thing was, I had no physical proof at the same time, which is why he was able to, you know, manipulate me every time I thought I'd caught him out for cheating, because I never actually saw it, or it was always people saying that.
And you were really in love with, you were in love with him, like you fell hard, and you had a way of being like, I love you, don't you trust me? If you trust me, you wouldn't ask me these questions and be like, you know, what? Of course they're gonna say bad things about me. We had a falling out. Like you just, you know, turn it around and like make you gaslight. He'd literally gaslight her. He would gaslight her into being.
It made me think I was crazy.
She was being over.
He told me,
you know.
he would constantly say, "You're making this up in your head. You're making this up in your head," and actually make me feel like I was a crazy person. Just before the end of the relationship, maybe like 2 months before, we were having just this big fight on the phone, and he was with his friends, and he was trying to break up with me on the phone, and obviously I was distraught. I was like, no, don't do this, don't do this. And all I could hear was like laughing in the background. And at this point it had been 8 months. Like we dated nearly a year, so this is 8 months. He's like, oh, it's been a good 8 months, let's just like call it here then. And then the next day on Facebook, it was Facebook, right towards the end of the relationship, his friends post this photo where he's on the phone to me, mooning the camera, and the caption is, "It's been a great 8 months." And I was just like, whoa. Like I just found that so incredibly rude and just disrespectful, and like for someone to be having a serious conversation with their girlfriend and potentially trying to break up with them and stuff, and you see that. And I still continued to date him for several more months.
If anyone is like into really into YouTube and you know all of the scandals that are happening now, he's literally like an Onision. Like that's what he was like.
I ended up getting really, really sick, and he was staying at my house, and I just woke him up in the middle of the night. I'm like, my stomach's in so much pain, my stomach's in so much pain. And he was really shitty. He's like, what do you want me to do? I was like, go get my mum. Like, go get her. And he was like, having some grump. He's like, just go back to sleep. I'm like, no, go get my mum. So he went and got my mum, and my mum came in and she's like, oh, how bad is it? Blah, blah, blah. all right, we'll wait. The doctor's opens in an hour, so, you know, just try and go back to sleep. We'll go to the doctor's in an hour. We get up and we go to the doctor's in the morning, and he asks my mum, oh, can you drop me at the station? I've got to go to TAFE today. And she's like, no, it's still early. Just come to the doctor's with us. So...
Because he graduated high school by now.
No, he left early. Take it back. He was doing TAFE at this point. So he was like, just drop me there. It's very, very early. The doctor's open at like 6 or 7 a.m. or something. So it's too early for him to go in anyway. So mum's like, no, we'll drop you later. Just come into the doctor's with us.
Priorities taking your child to the doctor that's complaining about severe stomach pains, not dropping some idiot at the freaking train station.
Yep. So what I ended up doing was being sent to the hospital from the doctors because they thought I had appendicitis. And at this point, we're going to the hospital and he's like, oh, Carol, can you just drop me at the station so I can go to TAFE? And she's like, no, you're coming to the hospital with your girlfriend now. Like, the thing is, it wasn't an important day at TAFE. He didn't have tests. He would routinely take days off to
that, like, if
go whatever.
Person you love's sick, you're not going to be like going to the hospital with the possible appendicitis. You're not going to be like, I have to go to school. And normal people would be like, hell yeah, I get the day off school for a legitimate reason. I would have taken school off if it was even someone I didn't like in the hospital, like, to be honest. Like, come on, like, that's friggin'...
Yeah.
It's your girlfriend.
Yeah. So my mum forced him to stay in hospital all day with me. I ended up going into surgery that night. He was gone by then, and I didn't see him all week. I ended up being in hospital for nearly a week, and because I reacted really badly to the anesthesia. And I had other friends come visit me. I had Steph come bathe my naked, sick body in the hospital.
And Jacinta came as well.
I had friends from school come and visit me and walk me around the corridors. And he wouldn't come visit even though he lived about 10 minutes maximum from the hospital that I was at. There was even one day on the weekend where he had to go from his house to a party, and the hospital was on the way, and he wouldn't even leave like half an hour early so that he could visit me on the way.
I remember when I came in and you had roses, and I was like, oh, these are really pretty, because I think me and Cinna brought you flowers as well, and we're like, oh, some more. And Cinna was like, oh, did Brian bring those? And you're like, no. What was your other friend's name? We
won't mention him because that's a story for
is that a shit later. One?
Where do you come up with these names? Yeah, no, someone else had brought me flowers as well. Steph thought that they were from Brian, but they were not, because he had not even come to visit me. Eventually I get out of hospital, and the day I get out of hospital, he breaks up with me. I had been throwing up in hospital, that's why I had to stay there for so long. I'm so upset that I again start throwing up again, which is so much pain on all of my incisions. It was this whole big thing, and then eventually, within the next few weeks, I noticed that his friends all stopped talking to him. All of his like closest friends stopped talking to him, and then they came forward and they told me that he had been cheating on me the whole time, and their final straw was when he slept with his best friend's cousin. And his best friend's cousin was more like a brother-sister relationship than a cousin relationship.
And wasn't she younger as well?
No, not really. But yeah, that's that was the final straw for them, ending the friendship. I found out from people that I worked with afterwards that they'd gone over, or their friends had gone over to the house while his parents were home, and you know, the parents were totally fine with him having other girls come over, other girls stay the night, all of that, which is just, to me, like, I think that's probably the worst bit, that the parents allowed that to happen. I know for a fact, based on a story that will never be told here, that if my mom caught me with someone in my room that should not be in my room, she's not allowing that to happen again. She's, don't you dare bring that person back in this house. And the fact that his family was just so totally cool with it, like, I think that just I don't know. I just don't know how they...
I feel like that's why the brother hated everyone, because they were just assholes.
Anyway, what ended up happening maybe like a year later, he was dating this other girl. Let's call her...
And he was 19 at this stage and she was 16 or younger.
All right, let's call her Sky. So he starts dating this girl, Sky. Now, I know, stay out of it. Don't warn her, stay out of it. Because I know for a fact he's gonna talk his way out of absolutely anything, make me look like a crazy person. I'm just gonna stay the fuck out of it. Anyway, one day she messages me on Facebook. Hey Amea, blah, blah, blah. I'm just wondering if you knew anything about so-and-so, this girl. I just have this really bad feeling about her. I know for a fact that something was going down with Brian and this other girl, specifically because I was working with one of her best friends. But I still said no. I said, look, Sky, I just want to stay out of this. It's just not my place.
You wouldn't listen even if I told you.
Even if I told, yeah, exactly. You wouldn't listen even if I told you. So I just know how Brian is and how you are together. Like, you just, whatever I say, you're not going to listen to. And she begged me to tell her. She begged me to tell her. I told her, I said, fine, you know what? I know for a fact that they're hooking up. I know for a fact that the other week he went and picked up this girl. She had her period, so she blew him in his car, and then he turned to her afterwards and said, where can I drop you off? I have to go see Sky now. What a gem, hey? Of course she didn't believe me. Of course she didn't believe me at all. She had a massive go at me for lying to her, completely went off her chops, and I was just like, fuck this. Fuck this. The amount of stress and drama that this person brought into so many people's lives.
It was very stressful for me too.
It was for everyone. And like all of the people who were so affected that they felt like they had to contact me and they had to contact the other girlfriends and all of that, like that's not normal. Like it's maybe occasionally, like I've never ever had it happen with anyone else that I've dated, but maybe here and there someone might receive one message from one disgruntled person here or there. But when you receive, like when you've pissed off so many people that so many people feel obligated to like warn someone, it's just, I don't know, it should have triggered something in my head. I just didn't know any better.
Oh, you're really stubborn though. You're stubborn now, but you were even stubborner back then. Like no one could have told you. You would have just been like, no, I love him. Oh.
Yeah, he could talk his way into or out of pretty much any situation. You can see how much she hates him, whereas I'm like laughing and indifferent, and it's because I've grown as a person. Because that was, you know, obviously like my situation. I become better for it. I become less naive, all of that stuff. So I've learnt the lesson from it and everything. Whereas Steph just had to deal with it. Like there was no lesson for her to learn other than just letting me make her own mistakes. Gave me a really bad haircut too, this one time.
Oh my God, I have a photo of it.
It looked like a mullet. So I ended up getting mum to cut it all off because mum used to be a hairdresser and turn it into this like pixie haircut because it was so bad. I also let him pierce my ear for me one time and it was so bad. He fucked up like 3 times in a row. There was this towel just covered in blood. It just kept getting infected. It never healed. I see how much I trusted him. I trusted him to do everything.
You were really stupid as a child.
I was. I don't know how I'm still alive.
And then somebody made a hate group and then they blamed Amea for it. And she was like, I didn't make it. And I was like, if I had thought about that, I would have made it, like straight up.
Yep, I didn't make the hate group. I ended up finding out who did make the the hate group. And it was the best friend's cousin that he'd slept with.
I'm kind of
like, why'd you make the hate group? Like, you're just the girl who chose to sleep with the guy who had a girlfriend. Like, that's on you. You weren't a girlfriend.
I'm salty I didn't think of it though. Like, cause like.
But yeah, thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you made it to the end, congratulations, because this video was very, very long.
Jingle bell.